Trans Awareness Month, coming out in a corporate setting. Man, I haven't talked to you guys in a really long time, but this past month, it's November, so it's Trans Awareness Month, and it's really crazy how time aligns itself. I haven't been on here for, I think, a couple month updates. Like the last one was 3 months. I don't think 4 months. I posted 5 months. I didn't post. I'm coming into my 6th month. And I haven't been on here. And that's just because this past month got really hard for me. That's probably been the darkest month that I've had, or darkest time that I've had in all the transition so far. I think, as you've seen in all the update videos, 1 through 3, everything's been going pretty smooth, pretty positive. Nothing major that came up that was negative. But wow, I originally told myself that I would come out at work once the changes were super obvious, and that it was you can just tell that things were apparent or after top surgery. That was my initial thinking, and I quickly realized though that was to my own detriment. And looking back in retrospect, it messed me up so much. I found myself in some of the darkest times that I've had, and that's just because I had to maintain 2 identities, and it was for what? For what reason? So if there were one thing that I could change so far about transitioning or coming out, it would be to have just come out earlier at work. And I think I was originally avoiding it just because I didn't want to tell people that I don't connect with, or that I would never really connect with on that kind of level, the most personal thing about me. And like, I think I've said this before, and I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I really found myself stuck this month. It just led to me going insane, just mentally, just dark. It was really dark times, just because I chose to not speak my truth, because I didn't feel like people really needed to know it. And so what that led to was me, like I said, living in 2 identities. I had to manage who, when, and where were calling me Saint versus Caprice. I was fearful that I would get outed, and someone, honestly calling me Saint, but then calling me that in front of people that didn't know about the transition yet. And then I would put myself into all these mental scenarios of well, what's going to happen in this case? What's going to happen in that case? And I would just be paranoid. And for someone who already suffers with anxiety, someone who is already, has OCD, it just tripped me out. It spun me in a way I have never really experienced. And I felt stuck, and I was just numb, and I didn't know what to do. And although it may seem simple, the answer would just be to come out. It wasn't that simple, just because, for obvious reasons. Man, I'm looking back, and I'm just thinking, I could have handled it differently. It is what it is. All I can do is move forward from this point on. So I had to manage people who was calling me Caprice, who was calling me Saint. I would get irritated internally when I would be misgendered, but then I also couldn't be upset because I hadn't even come clean about the right, genders, pronouns to use. So I couldn't even say anything. And I just didn't want to get into a situation where I needed to go one by one and tell everyone my update. So I didn't know what to do, and I also didn't feel like I wanted to make an email announcement. I just didn't want that much attention drawn to me. I didn't want that attention. I know some people might like it. I'm just not one of those people that wanted all that attention brought to me. So I first was like, first of all, I don't want to announce this. I was like, well, what can I do? Maybe I'll leave this place. Maybe I'll find another job. I can start fresh. That's what I wanted. But realistically, that just wasn't what I needed. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll stay here and I'll just wait. And then, but lo and behold, my facial hair started coming in pretty well, And so then it became, now I'm sitting in these meetings and I'm worried that everyone's looking at me and they're seeing this facial hair and they're probably wondering what's going on. They hear my voice changing, so then I would try to change my voice, and I'd make it go high, and I'd make it do this. Or if I was taking a phone call, a video call, I would, change it. All these different things. Needless to say, I was just doing all these mind tricks and games on top of the normal work that was just a lot of extra things that I just didn't need to be doing. And I think that it's really important to get on here and just kind of talk about that experience, just because I know that, it on the outside looking in, it looks really simple to do this. It does. It sounds in logic. And I would tell different people, and they would say, "Well, hey, do you really need to tell everyone this?" And that's a fair question. Yes, the answer to that question is absolutely yes, because it brings clarity, and that is the most important thing that you can do and you can have in transitioning, is being very clear in what you expect and very clear in about who you are. And I found that I was really just falling away from that. What I had originally set out to do was live in my truth for myself, and by not speaking on it, I felt like I was shying away from that, and I wasn't connecting with myself in the way that I originally was for those first few months, because I was hiding this thing that I wasn't even ashamed of. It's not like I didn't want people to know because I didn't like myself. I just didn't want them to know because it would cause attention, which then would cause, a bunch of chatter that, gossip or whatever I was telling myself. I didn't want that. So I was like, well, I won't say anything. But yeah, I finally decided, maybe like 3 weeks at this point. I reached out to HR. I let them know what was going on. I told her I needed help with handling this situation because it was really weighing on me. It was just heavy on my mind. I couldn't take it. I had enough. I'm usually very strong, and I had reached my limit of strength, because it was just a waste of energy to continue and try to just play this game. And so, yeah, I found a HR partner that was able to help me out, make a plan. I had already come out to like my manager, and so she was aware, but that only went so far. It's like, okay, cool, I feel good, I told you, but okay, that doesn't help, because still you're gonna, in front of everyone else, I'm still Caprice, I'm still she, her, I'm still these things that, ultimately, internally, I know that I'm not. So it was just a matter of coming clean and telling everyone. So needless to say, today, November 18th, is my first official day in the office at St. Hall, and it was special. So I walked in up to my desk, and they had changed my name sign. HR partner did a really good job of making sure that was taken care of. So it was done on Friday, but I work from home on Fridays. So when I got to the office this morning, on Monday, I saw that it said Saint. I had already went around and put pronouns, and what was really cool is one of my friends at work, she had our whole team put up their pronouns at their desk just in support. No one really knew why it was happening, but that was cool. They did it, and they were just like, yeah, I'll do it. And so I think now it might make a little bit more sense as to why, that happened, or why we were doing that. But yeah, so, the whole team has their pronouns up. So mine, before I had they, them, and then today I changed them to he, him, his, just because that's more direct. It's what I feel most aligned with, and it's just for, again, clarity. It's just easier. It's a lot to expect someone to, first of all, make a change from already knowing you one way to then shifting to another, but then it's another added thing. I know grammatically it's this and that when you say they, them, and just to alleviate that, I just would prefer strictly he, him, his. So that's what I said in my email. So in the announcement email, I had a little excerpt that was from me specifically, just a note in my own words telling that I'm going, I'm transitioning from female to male. That you've known me for 3 years as Caprice, she, her, but, I now identify as Saint with he, him, his pronouns. And that I would just appreciate everyone's support. Summarizing, but something along those lines is what my email said. And then I sent it to HR. I had HR send it out so that she could put in the wrapper of, this is the corporate for this company, here are our guidelines for transgender policy and X, Y, and Z. So that was before and after, and then ways of supporting me was after that. And I also told them, I really just would appreciate if you didn't apologize if you happen to get it wrong. I understand that it's a learning period. Don't apologize. Just instead, just correct yourself and continue on with the conversation as you would anyway. Because what people don't realize is, I think I understand why you might want to apologize. I appreciate your apology, but when you apologize on the spot, you just think about it. It's really putting the person, myself, into an even more awkward situation. Already it's awkward when you mess up, but then you're like, oh, I'm sorry. What am I supposed to say? It's okay. sometimes it is okay, but there are other times where it's not. But then now it's putting me into a place where I have to feel like I have to say it's okay because you're messing up. So I'd rather just not have that, because like it's just like you're drawing extra attention to this thing. Just, you messed up. It is what it is. Correct yourself. Continue. And that's just advice to anybody out there that converses or interacts with anyone that's trans or has, or a non-binary, even just anyone else that has different pronouns than what you are used to. Don't apologize. Just correct yourself. So yeah, what else can I say about this? Yeah, the lesson that I learned from this is really just remembering like what it's like to live in and step into my power and live for me. Like honestly, you can get lost in the day-to-days of what it's like to live as trans in the eye of everybody, right in front of everyone. You have to do anything you can to stay connected to yourself. And I got away from connecting to myself by not living as myself all the time. You can't spend 40 hours in an office and not be yourself. You can't. It's just it automatically creates a divide, a disconnect from your being, and you'll pay for it. I paid for it. I would come home and I would be so numb and I'd be so just exhausted and I'd be so frustrated and I'd be so just, I just didn't do a lot. I didn't do much, honestly, and I'm just really happy to be out of that. Like finally, when the email went out last week on Thursday, and I had to send out like end of day because I knew I would be working from home on Friday, and just as soon as it did go out, I refreshed and I saw a couple responses come in. It just felt just so relieving just to have known that I finally was able to take that step for myself to say, hey, it doesn't matter who hears this, who sees it, who knows, and that's for work and that's for outside of work or anything. It doesn't matter. All that matters is for me, I was able to live in my truth and I could speak that to you and you can take what you will with it. But I did that for me, and that's what's important. And that's what everybody should remember, is that this is always about us. Like, it gets crazy. It really gets crazy. And like I said, from the outside looking in, it seems very simple. And in principle, it does seem simple, but really living it out, it's just not that simple. It just isn't. And so the best thing you can do is always just support means action. Like, that's just something that's been resounding in my mind as I go through these moments this month, is that support, it doesn't mean, hey, I support you. And you just gotta sit on the sideline. You really have to take action and be active in that person's life and show up for them and say, hey, how are you doing? Hey, I really can't imagine what this is like because I'm not going through it, but I'm here for you. How are you? I hope you're good. It's anything besides just sitting on the sideline. If you care about that person, you literally have to show up for them. That's all I can say. I'm not even a person that likes to lean on other people, but I really couldn't do this if I didn't have the support system. And so the people that do reach out to me, again, like always, I really thank you, and you really keep me going. And it means a lot when you take those moments and you interact with me as Saint and you show care directly through action. Thank you. So yeah, Trans Awareness Month. Just be aware mentally. I know that you will never understand what it's like unless you're being trans, but the best thing you can do is be an ally and be there for everyone who's going through something like this and show up for them by showing support. Reach out. If you know that person's shot day, reach out on their shot day. It doesn't even have to be a conversation. Literally, like I said, you could just be like, hey, I'm thinking of you. That means so much. So yeah. With that said, I am officially out at work. It feels great. It really feels good. And today was the first day, and the people did a pretty good job with using the appropriate name and pronouns. And for me, it feels a little awkward, and that's my own insecurity, just because I know I'm so early into my transition. And while I know that I align with he, him, his, I still feel a little bit off because, mostly because of my chest. Like you can clearly, like, even though I'm blind and it's kind of hard to tell, still I'm gonna have that insecurity until I have top surgery, which, by the way, did get confirmed for December 17th. So we're basically a month out from now for top surgery. So super excited. Everything is confirmed. I have my consultation next week on Monday, and I'll be filming all of that stuff. So that's why I really wanted to get back onto my videos and posting things, and I'll get into a regular cadence now. Like, now that I kind of had that month off and that month of darkness and kind of like realigning and reconfiguring everything that I want to do and talk about and what I'm feeling in my life, I definitely will catch you up on everything that I have filmed, because I have continued to kind of bring the camera out. I just haven't edited any of that or posted any of that. So you'll kind of see me go back in time some to catch back up from 4 months, 5 months, and then continuing on from, like, right now it's 5.5, coming up on 6, and continuing on. So yeah, probably gonna post. I'm gonna strive for once a week, every weekend, if not every other weekend, but definitely gonna become way more consistent. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for stopping by. Appreciate y'all, and I'll see you soon. Love.